There is a moment, late at night, when the house is quiet and the noise of the day has finally stopped. When you lie there and ask yourself a question you have been avoiding for weeks. Why am I not where I thought I would be by now? Why does everyone else seem to be moving forward while I am standing still, spinning my wheels, working hard but going nowhere? You are not lazy. You are not stupid. You are not cursed. You are simply inconsistent, and inconsistency is the quiet killer of every dream that was ever born in a human heart. It does not announce itself. It does not come with sirens and warning lights. It creeps in disguised as a day off, a missed workout, a skipped page, a delayed phone call, a tomorrow that never quite arrives. And one day you wake up, and a year has passed, then 2, then 5. And the gap between who you are and who you wanted to become has grown so wide, you can barely see the other side anymore. I want you to understand something today that most people never learn until it is too late. Success is not a lightning bolt. It is not a single decision made in a single dramatic moment. Success is a series of small, boring, unglamorous choices repeated so many times that they eventually become who you are. Nobody claps when you wake up early on a Tuesday morning that nobody is watching. Nobody posts about the fact that you read 10 pages of a book instead of scrolling your phone for the 100th night in a row. Nobody throws a parade because you kept your word to yourself when it would have been so easy to break it. But that is exactly where everything is built. Not in the fireworks, in the silence, in the repetition, in the discipline that nobody sees. Motivation is a liar. It promises you that it will always be there when you need it. And then it disappears the moment things get difficult. The moment the alarm goes off in the cold morning. The moment the results are not coming as fast as you hoped. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are the most unreliable foundation you could ever build a life on. One day you feel unstoppable, ready to conquer the world, and the very next day you feel like giving up on everything. If you are waiting to feel motivated before you act, you will spend your entire life waiting. And waiting is where dreams go to die a slow, quiet death. What you need is not motivation. What you need is discipline. Discipline does not ask how you feel. Discipline does not negotiate with your excuses. Discipline simply shows up, again and again, whether you feel like it or not, because discipline understands something motivation never will. That consistency, not intensity, is what changes a life. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who built something real, something lasting, something that changed their entire existence. I promise you, if you could sit down with them and ask them their secret, none of them would tell you about one magical day when everything changed. They would tell you about years of showing up when it was hard, years of doing the same small task over and over until it stopped feeling like work and started feeling like identity. Years of choosing the harder right over the easier wrong, day after day, when nobody was watching, when there was no applause, when there was no guarantee it would ever pay off. That is the price of the life you say you want. And here is the truth nobody wants to hear. Most people are not willing to pay it. Most people want the harvest without planting the seed. Most people want the muscles without the thousands of repetitions. Most people want the freedom without the years of discomfort that purchase it. And so most people stay exactly where they are, wondering why life feels unfair, when the truth is that life is not unfair, it is simply consistent. It gives you back exactly what you put into it, no more, no less. I need you to stop lying to yourself about tomorrow. Tomorrow is not a magical place where you suddenly become disciplined, where you suddenly find the willpower you have been missing your whole life. Tomorrow is just another today wearing a different date. If you cannot find the strength to take the small action right now, in this moment, you will not find it tomorrow either. Because you are the same person tomorrow that you are today, carrying the same habits, the same excuses, the same comfortable patterns that have kept you exactly where you are for months or years. The only way anything changes is if you change what you do today, right now, in this very hour. Not next Monday, not after the holidays, not when things calm down. Things are never going to calm down. Life does not wait for a convenient moment to demand your growth. You either decide today that you are done being inconsistent, or you accept that you will keep circling the same mountain for the rest of your life, wondering why the view never changes. Let me tell you what happens to the person who decides to stay consistent even when it is hard. In the beginning, nothing seems to happen. You show up, you do the work, and the results are so small you can barely see them. This is the most dangerous part of the entire journey, because this is exactly where almost everyone quits. They expect progress to look like a straight line climbing steadily upward. And when it does not, when it looks flat, when it looks like nothing is changing. They convince themselves that the effort is not working, that they are wasting their time, that maybe this was never meant for them. But growth does not work in straight lines. Growth works in compounding curves that stay almost invisible for a long, long time before they suddenly bend upward in ways that shock even the person who built them. The seed does not know it is becoming a tree while it sits underground in the dark, being watered every day, seemingly doing nothing. But if you dig it up on day 30, because you do not see a tree yet, you will never see the tree at all. Consistency is agreeing to keep watering something you cannot yet see, trusting a process you cannot yet measure, believing in a version of yourself that has not yet arrived but is being built, one repetition at a time, whether you can see it or not. I want you to feel something today, not just hear words. I want you to feel the weight of every day you have wasted waiting to feel ready. I want you to feel the frustration of watching other people move forward while you stayed stuck, not because they were smarter than you, not because they had more talent than you, but because they simply refused to stop. That is the secret nobody wants to admit. It is not talent that separates the people who make it from the people who do not. It is the refusal to quit when quitting would be so much easier. It is choosing to show up on the days when showing up feels pointless. It is trusting the process on the days when the process feels broken. Talent is common. Discipline is rare. And in a world full of talented people who gave up, the ones who simply refused to stop rise to the very top. Not because they were the most gifted, but because they were the last ones standing. Here is something else you need to hear. And I say this with love, but I will not soften it. Your excuses, no matter how valid they feel to you, are not going to build the life you want. I understand you are tired. I understand life has been hard on you. I understand you did not get the support, the resources, the timing that other people got. But none of that changes the math. The world does not owe you success because your circumstances were difficult. The world rewards the people who kept moving, despite the difficulty, not the people who used the difficulty as a permanent excuse to stop trying. Every excuse you hold on to is a piece of your future that you are trading away for temporary comfort. And that trade will feel fine today, and it will feel fine tomorrow. But one day, years from now, you will look back and realize that all those small trades added up to a life you never wanted. A life built entirely out of comfortable excuses instead of uncomfortable growth. So I am asking you right now to make a decision. Not a wish, not a hope, a decision. Decide that starting today, you will do the small thing even when you do not feel like it. Decide that you will show up for yourself the way you show up for everyone else in your life. Decide that your goals deserve the same discipline you give to your job, to your responsibilities, to the people who depend on you. Because here is the truth. You are the one person you have permission to disappoint the most, and that is exactly why so many people do it. They keep every promise to their boss, to their friends, to their family, and they break promise after promise to themselves, and they wonder why they do not trust themselves anymore, why their own word means nothing to their own ears. If you want to build unstoppable confidence, start by keeping the promises you make to yourself. Small ones, consistently, every single day. Confidence is not something you find. It is something you build, one kept promise at a time. I want you to imagine your life 5 years from now if you continue exactly as you are right now. Same habits, same excuses, same inconsistency, same pattern of starting strong for 3 days and then quietly giving up. Sit with that image for a moment. Does it excite you or does it terrify you? Because if it terrifies you, that fear is not your enemy today. That fear is a gift. That fear is trying to wake you up before it is too late. Most people never feel that fear until they are old, until the years have run out, until the chances to change have quietly closed one by one. You still have time. Right now, today, you still have time to become someone different than the person that fear is warning you about. But time does not wait patiently. Time is spending itself, whether you use it well or not. The only question is whether you will spend it building or whether you will spend it waiting. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine your life 5 years from now if you decide, starting today, to become relentlessly consistent. Not perfect, not flawless, just consistent. Showing up on the good days and the bad days. Doing the work when you feel inspired, and doing the work when you feel nothing at all. Keeping your word to yourself even when no one would ever know if you broke it. What would that version of you look like? How would that version of you walk into a room? How would that version of you speak, carry themselves, handle failure, handle pressure, handle the moments that used to break you. That version of you is not a fantasy. That version of you is available to you, starting right now, but only if you are willing to trade your comfort for your future. Only if you are willing to do the hard thing today, so that your tomorrow does not look exactly like your yesterday. Let me be very clear about something, because I do not want you leaving here with a soft, watered-down message. Consistency is uncomfortable. It is supposed to be uncomfortable. If it were easy, everyone would be living the life they dream about. And you and I both know that is not what we see when we look around. Most people are settling. Most people gave up on their biggest dreams years ago, and now they call that acceptance. They call it being realistic. But deep down they know the truth. They quit. They quit because it got hard, and hard was not what they signed up for. And so they lowered the size of their dream to match the size of their effort, instead of raising the size of their effort to match the size of their dream. Do not become one of those people. Do not shrink your vision because your discipline has not caught up to it yet. Grow your discipline instead. That is always the harder path, and always the right one. I want to talk to you about failure for a moment, because I know it is the thing keeping so many of you frozen right now. You are afraid that if you commit fully, if you finally give this everything you have, and it still does not work, you will have to face the fact that you failed even with full effort. And that feels more painful than never trying at all. I understand that fear. But let me reframe it for you. Failing while trying your hardest is not the tragedy you think it is. The real tragedy is living an entire life wondering what would have happened if you had actually tried. That question, what if, is one of the most painful questions a human being can carry into old age. It sits in the chest like a stone that never fully dissolves. Do not let that be your story. Whatever happens when you commit fully, at least you will know. At least you will have your answer. And more often than people expect, the answer is not failure at all. The answer is a version of success that took longer than they wanted, built through more setbacks than they expected, but arrived nonetheless, because they simply refused to stop showing up. Every single day you have a choice, and it is a small choice, so small it barely feels like a choice at all in the moment. Do I do the work, or do I skip it just this once? Do I keep my promise to myself, or do I let myself off the hook because I am tired? These choices feel insignificant in isolation. One skipped day will not ruin your life. One missed workout will not destroy your health. One night of avoiding your goals will not collapse your dream. And that is exactly what makes this so dangerous. Because none of these choices feel important enough to fight for in the moment. Most people let them slide, again and again, until the pattern becomes the identity. Until skipping becomes who they are without them ever consciously deciding it. You are not one bad day away from failure. You are one pattern of bad days repeated for months and years away from failure. And in the same way, you are not one good day away from success. You are one pattern of good days, repeated relentlessly, stacked on top of each other, that eventually becomes a life you are proud of. I want you to start seeing your daily actions differently. Stop asking, what is one workout going to do? Stop asking, what is reading one chapter going to change? Stop asking, what difference does 1 hour of focused work make? Those questions are traps, because the honest answer is almost nothing, and that answer gives your mind permission to skip it. Instead, ask a different question. Who am I becoming by doing this consistently for the next year? That question changes everything, because now you are not measuring the size of a single action. You are measuring the size of an identity being built one action at a time. The workout is not about today's muscle. It is about becoming someone who does not break promises to their body. The chapter is not about today's knowledge. It is about becoming someone who invests in their mind every single day, without needing permission or motivation. The hour of focused work is not about today's task. It is about becoming someone whose word means something, even to themselves, especially to themselves. I know some of you have already tried this before. You have started strong, you built a streak, you felt the momentum, and then something happened. Life got in the way, you got sick, you got busy, you got tired, and the streak broke. And once it broke, it felt impossible to start again, because now you had proof, real proof, that you could not do it, that you are exactly the kind of person who starts things and does not finish them. I need you to release that story right now. One broken streak does not define you. It is not proof of your character. It is proof that you are human. The people who eventually succeed are not the people who never break their streaks. They are the people who break their streaks and start again anyway, over and over, as many times as it takes, without ever making it mean something about their worth as a human being. Falling down is not the opposite of consistency. Refusing to get back up is. You can fall down 1,000 times and still be a consistent person, as long as you keep standing back up every single time. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of this decision. That version already exists in some sense, waiting for you to become disciplined enough to meet them. Every day you choose comfort over growth, you push that meeting further away. Every day you choose discipline over comfort, you pull that meeting closer. This is not about becoming someone completely different overnight. This is about becoming 1% better today than you were yesterday, and then doing that again tomorrow, and again the day after, until those small percentages compound into a transformation so large that people who knew you a year ago will barely recognize the person standing in front of them. That is not magic. That is math. That is the math of consistency, working quietly in the background of your life, whether you believe in it or not. I want you to think about the cost of staying the same. Not the cost of change, the cost of staying the same. People are so afraid of the discomfort of discipline that they forget there is an even greater cost hiding on the other side. The cost of remaining exactly who you are for the rest of your life. The cost of watching years pass while your dreams sit untouched in the back of your mind, gathering dust, quietly turning into regret. The cost of looking in the mirror at 50, at 60, and realizing you had decades to become who you wanted to be, and you spent them waiting for a feeling that never came. That cost is far higher than any amount of discomfort you would feel by starting today. Discomfort now is temporary. Regret later is permanent. Choose your pain wisely, because you are going to experience one or the other. There is no version of this life where you avoid pain altogether. The only choice you actually have is which pain you are willing to carry, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. So here is what I am asking you to do, starting the moment you finish hearing these words. Pick one thing, just one, the thing you have been avoiding, the thing you know would change everything if you actually stuck with it, and commit to doing it every single day, not when you feel like it, not when the timing is perfect, but every single day, starting today. Make it small enough that you cannot talk yourself out of it, and make it non-negotiable enough that skipping it feels like breaking a promise to someone you love, because you are. You are breaking a promise to the person you are capable of becoming. Do that one thing today, then tomorrow, then the day after. Do not worry about the next 100 days right now. Worry about today. Consistency is not built by thinking about the mountain. It is built by taking the next step, and then the next, and refusing to stop simply because the summit is not yet visible. Somewhere out there, right now, someone with your exact same dream, your exact same starting point, maybe even less talent than you, less resources than you, less support than you, is choosing discipline today. They are choosing to show up while you are choosing to wait. And in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, the space between where you are and where they are will not be explained by luck or talent or timing. It will be explained entirely by one simple difference. They decided to stay consistent, and you decided to wait for a feeling that was never going to come on its own. Do not let that be your story. You have everything you need, right now, in this moment, to begin. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not after you feel ready. Now. Because readiness is not a feeling that arrives before action. Readiness is a decision you make, and then you build the feeling by acting anyway, again and again, until the discipline becomes so natural, it no longer feels like discipline at all. It simply becomes who you are. Stand up right now, in your mind if not in your body, and decide. Decide that you are done being inconsistent. Decide that you are done letting your future pay the price for your present comfort. Decide that the version of you 5 years from now deserves better than the version of you that keeps hitting snooze on their own life. Force yourself to stay consistent, even when it is hard, even when no one is watching, even when the results are slow and invisible and frustrating. Force yourself to keep showing up, day after day, week after week, until the compounding becomes undeniable, until the people who doubted you cannot deny what they are seeing anymore, until you look in the mirror and no longer see someone who talks about change, but someone who became it. Success is not chasing the people who wait for motivation. Success is chasing the people who move without it. Be one of them, starting today, starting right now. Do not wait one more single day. Let me take you a little deeper, because I do not want to leave you with only inspiration. Inspiration fades by the time you reach the kitchen tomorrow morning. I want to leave you with something that survives past the moment you close your eyes tonight. So let us talk about the mechanics of staying consistent. the actual machinery underneath all of this emotion. Because emotion alone will not carry you through the 200th day of a habit when the excitement has completely worn off, and all that is left is the raw decision to continue or to quit. The first thing you must understand is that consistency is never maintained by willpower alone. Willpower is a finite resource. It is strongest in the morning and weakest at night. Strongest at the start of the week and weakest by Friday. Strongest when life is calm and weakest when life is chaotic. If you build your entire plan around having enough willpower every single day, you will eventually run out. And on the day you run out, you will quit. And you will call it a personal failure when really it was a planning failure. The people who stay consistent for years do not have superhuman willpower. They have systems. They remove the decision from the moment. They lay out their clothes the night before. They put the book on the pillow so they cannot avoid it. They schedule the call instead of hoping they feel like making it. They shrink the action so small that willpower is barely required at all. And then they let repetition do what motivation never could. The second thing you must understand is that identity beats goals every single time. A goal is something you are chasing. An identity is something you already are. If your only relationship to your ambition is a goal sitting out in the distance, every single day you have to convince yourself to move toward it. And convincing is exhausting. And exhausted people quit. But if you shift the language in your own head from "I am trying to become someone who exercises" to "I am someone who exercises," the entire relationship changes. You stop negotiating with yourself every morning. You simply do what someone like you does, because that is who you have decided you are. Every action you repeat is a vote for the identity you are building. Every skipped action is a vote against it. You are not born with your identity fully formed. You vote it into existence, one repetition at a time. And the vote never stops being cast, whether you are conscious of it or not. The third thing you must understand is the danger of all or nothing thinking. This single pattern of thought has destroyed more consistent habits than almost anything else. You miss one day, and instead of simply returning the next day, the voice inside your head says, "Well, you already broke it, so what is the point of continuing now? Might as well start fresh next month, next week, next year." That voice is not telling you the truth. That voice is protecting you from the discomfort of admitting you are not perfect. And in protecting you from that small discomfort, it is stealing your entire future. Perfection was never the requirement. Continuation was always the requirement. You are allowed to miss a day. You are allowed to have a bad week. What you are not allowed to do, if you want the life you say you want, is turn a single missed day into a permanent surrender. The moment you accept that missing once does not mean quitting forever, the entire game changes in your favor, because now failure has lost its power to end you. I also want to speak directly to the exhaustion so many of you are carrying right now, because I know some of you are not sitting here doubting whether you can do the work. You are sitting here doubting whether you have anything left to give at all. You have been fighting for so long, pushing so hard, trying so many times, that the very idea of trying again feels like more than you can bear. I hear that. I am not going to pretend that exhaustion away with cheap words. But I will tell you this. Rest is not the enemy of consistency. Rest is part of consistency, as long as it is a planned pause and not a quiet surrender disguised as a break. There is a difference between resting to return and resting to disappear. Rest if you need to rest, but decide clearly in advance when you are coming back, and then come back, even if you come back smaller than before. Even if you come back slower than before, because coming back is the entire game. The people who eventually win are simply the people who kept coming back one more time than they wanted to quit. Think about how differently you would move through your days if you fully believed, in your bones, that the small, boring action you are avoiding right now is the exact thing standing between you and the life you keep praying for. Because it is. It really is. Nobody is coming to save you from the discipline required. There is no shortcut hidden somewhere that everyone else knows about and you do not. The people who look like they found a shortcut almost always paid a price you simply did not see. Years of unseen effort compressed into a single visible moment of success that looked sudden from the outside, but was never sudden at all. Stop looking for the exception. Become the rule. The rule is simple, unglamorous, and available to absolutely anyone willing to pay the price of showing up when it is hard. That is the whole secret. There was never a more complicated one hiding underneath it. I want to close by asking you something, and I want you to answer honestly, not to me, but to yourself, in the quiet of your own mind. If nothing changes starting tomorrow, if you keep living exactly the way you have been living, doing exactly what you have been doing, avoiding exactly what you have been avoiding, where does that road actually lead? Sit with that question. Do not rush past it, because the answer to that question is either going to be the thing that finally moves you, or it is going to be the thing you keep avoiding for another year, another 5 years, another decade, until the question stops being a warning and starts being a description of the life you actually lived. You still have the pen in your hand. The page is not finished yet. Pick it up. Write the next sentence with your actions today, not your intentions, not your plans, your actions right now. And then write the sentence after that tomorrow, and the one after that the day after, until the story you are living finally matches the story you always wanted to tell. Force yourself to stay consistent. Nobody is going to force you. No alarm, no app, no accountability partner can do the work that only your own decision can do. Motivation will abandon you the moment things get difficult. But discipline, once it becomes who you are and not just what you do, will carry you through every single storm that tries to knock you off the path. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for permission that was never going to come from anyone but you. The version of you that you keep dreaming about is not waiting somewhere in the future for the right circumstances to appear. That version of you is built today, in this ordinary, unremarkable day, through the one small action you choose to take right now, instead of putting it off one more time. Success is not chasing the lucky. It is not chasing the talented. It is chasing the relentless, the consistent, the ones who simply refuse to stop, long after everyone else quietly gave up. Be relentless, be consistent, and watch how quickly success stops running away from you and starts chasing you instead.